Good afternoon. And yes, after a long hiatus, we are officially back in motion. I am Kat. Welcome to Cat Space. With me is my mate, and like a brother to me is Leon. G'day, mate. How are you?
Hello, it's been a while since we've
It's been a
done one of
while.
these.
I know, and now that we're back. Now, the reason why we're here in broad daylight is because we wanted to talk about something that's really close to the both of us and important to us that should be spoken up about. Today's topic is when will the bullying at schools stop? The first question I'm throwing to you, should the school be held responsible?
Um, well, it really depends on, all schools should be responsible for what happens with their students. I don't know about you, but I was a victim of bullying when I was at high school and stuff like that. I hated that school so much. I pretty much threw away my 14th year. And in my report card, it said that I would not get a high school certificate if I kept on missing days. So, but that came about because I was getting bullied something fierce. I would be beaten up by the boys, beaten up by girls. My bag would be thrown over the ledge and stuff like that, and into a bloody pond at the school. I hated it. It got to a point where I just said, "Screw this." I wasn't gonna. I didn't bother going back there. I went home. I know it put strain on my mum and dad's relationship, whatever. But I hated that school. I'm not going to name it because I'm not going to give them the satisfaction of being named because they know exactly what it is. And I know one thing, and I damn sure know that my brother was a victim of it too. But only his one was more serious. He was hung over a balcony on the
Huh?
quadrangle.
What?
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. I don't know. I don't know if he'd approve of me saying that, but I know damn well that's
What?
what happened. A kid dangled him over the quadrangle, over a ledge in the quadrangle. It
Oh,
was
that
about a ten. It's about a
oh
10 feet drop too, by the way. It'll be about a 10 foot drop or something like that.
that kid should be expelled immediately, I reckon.
Well, that school's changed its name, and I imagine there's no teachers there that were there when I was there. That's for sure. But we both went to the same high school, and I heard about that story, and I was enraged. And I was in primary school back then when that happened, so you can imagine my fear before I even got there. I was in year six at the time when I heard about that, and it was in year seven, the first year of high school.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Mm, anyway,
That breaks my heart. I think you're right. I think all schools should be held responsible,
we're
um,
accountable. Yeah.
and accountable for anything that goes down there. I believe it's important to, educate the schools, educate the students, educate the teachers, and just if you see something and hear something, speak up. Don't just sit there silently thinking, you're going to get in trouble. Please speak up if you see it, if you hear it, notice it, go immediately to principal or teacher, tell them what's going on so that this doesn't happen again.
Well, the
Because,
reason why we're talking about this today is because of a recent incident that happened about 3 weeks. That was reported about 3 weeks ago,
yes,
and and I don't believe that the education system is doing anywhere near enough these days. There's too much bureaucracy around it. They're afraid to take action because they never know what's going to be what's going to be the response. And unfortunately, until that happens, we are going to see more of this, and we're going to see more of this before someone pulls their finger out and actually does something the right way about this system.
absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Here's the next question. Should there be an inquiry?
Regarding the bullying incident that we're talking about, we're talking about the case of the 13-year-old who unfortunately took his own
Yes,
life several was it a couple of weeks ago.
yes, absolutely.
Um, there should be an inquiry. Everything should be. I don't know what needs to be done, but something needs to happen. Because, or even if the teachers or the students need to be retrained, I think it needs to be part of the education system or whatever. It should be a part of the education system every day until it becomes so annoying that nobody will dare. tried to do any school bullying. Unfortunately, that's not the case at this point in time. Right now, we're still seeing school bullying everywhere. There was kids just arrested just recently. I can't remember where it was, and they beat up a 60 something year old. They beat up a 60 something year old. I can't remember where it was, but it was in the news just recently. And that's another case of bullying and stuff like that. Just I don't know what's in these kids' heads lately, but yeah, something needs to happen.
As you said, you're a victim of bullying. I can agree with that because I also was a victim of bullying at school. And I remember one of the popular girls came up to me, put an arm around me and said, "Oh, if you dob on anyone here, you will never see the light of day again. You'll be living in hospital for the rest of your life." And that scared me. And I sat there and I went to the teacher and I told them, and they did absolutely nothing. Nothing at all.
You'll find a lot more of these stories will come out eventually, but just there's not enough. There's I don't know why there isn't enough stories out there to make the education system think that go, whoa, okay, this is something is seriously screwed up here. We need to figure that. We need to figure it out before more of these incidents take place. Obviously, I feel sorry for you, Kate. You know that kind of bullying happened to you as well. Either way, with the threat that you got, either way there was a no. Either way, there's a no-win scenario.
Oh, and what also happened was similar to you. I had my bag thrown up in the tree.
Yep,
I had my calculator stolen at one point. Um, I had um people like I was isolated. Not even my own peers liked me. I was always told to sit by myself. Teachers never liked me, being a new kid. Um, I was constantly monitored. Um,
constantly monitored.
yeah, because I was a new kid from New Zealand, like teachers didn't like me and
Mm.
sort of I remember they called my mum at home. I apparently there was a book missing um from their storage room or stationery room that everyone reads in class, and I remember handing it in and I went home and I cried and I cried. We turned the whole house upside down. There was no such book. And then sort of like I decided at the end of year 11 in 98 I left.
Mm.
I didn't go back.
Well,
Like I
you went further than me. I got as far as year 9. I didn't go to year 10.
like being a nuclear, like it was just like a nuclear bomb had gone off, and I remember crying every day to my parents. I don't like school. I don't like school. I'm being bullied. I don't like school. My teachers don't like me. My peers don't like me. I'm not welcome there. It's sort of like it got to a point where I just left school. It was the most frightening, most sort of horrible nightmare to be at. I mean, what kid throws someone's bag in the tree and steals their school books and calculators and whatnot and chuck stuff at their head and you know nothing being done about it. I mean,
I could tell you a weird story. This actually legitimately happened to me in primary school. I was suspended for several days because there was an incident where a student pissed on another student's bag, and I got blamed for it. And this wasn't a democracy. This was a show of hands if you think he did it. And because I was the least popular in the class, everyone put their hands up, and I was suspended. I was pissed about that. Mind you, we went back to the school the same afternoon and confronted the principal about it, and I was reinstated. And the person who got it, the person who did it, did get suspended. I got an apology. I did get an apology from the teacher because that should have never happened. It was freaking ridiculous. I started looking at the education system, with a middle finger, but I was too young to really even express the middle finger at the time. Now I'm old enough, I can express the middle finger at the education system because of how they treated me.
I hear you, and I'm
But
so
but be
sorry.
suspend but to be suspended for an incident like that, which didn't even involve you. And I could tell you another story too. I do have a scar around my left eye, just near my temple. This was an incident that happened at high school, right? I was tackled from behind in class, and I went head first. I went, side of my face first into a metal pole. I was busted open. The person got suspended, and believe it or not, and this is actually a true story, the person who did the deed on the bag back in primary school actually came to where we lived. And it was their parents who wanted to know whether or not this kid had anything to do with it. And I told them no, he didn't have anything to do with it. I imagine he I would have felt guilty for what happened the years before, but the fact that that I was honest about this whole situation, I think got a little bit of respect from that kid. But there are times now when as you grow up, people change.
Yeah.
And in this case, going to high school, I think that kid changed. And years later, uh, a student, which actually no, there was two students, right, which I never got along with, and we're friends now. I went to one of the 30-year-old, one of the people that we used to hate each other. I went to that person's 30th birthday because I was invited. And you want to know what I did? I promised them I would have a tequila, and I did have a tequila with them at the Fiddler. Okay, so there you go. So that's one nice story. And another nice story is I did catch up with an old friend of my friends, even though we weren't friends, not me and my friend, but this particular friend. Her daughter had taken up singing, and she was going to be performing at one of these Blacktown events just down the road. And I saw her, and I recognized her straight away, and we got along like nothing had ever happened. No, we never had an issue, which is really crazy. I suppose that's one benefit of actually growing up. So, some people do change, and we're friends now as well.
That's so wonderful.
There's
For
some
me,
great stories that can come out of this kind of thing.
exactly, exactly. Uh, Next question now. Should the bullies be expelled immediately or not?
That's a tough question. You would think the obvious answer would be yes, but like this is it's a double-edged sword. In my opinion, it's a double-edged sword, right? These bullies know what they have done, right? That's going to be stuck with them forever. So if I was the principal of that school, I wouldn't expel them. I would make them work 5 times as hard to get their education up to scratch and make sure that they are honorable students moving forward. I know this is going to come small comfort to the parent, obviously, but if you make them work harder than they ever have before, they won't have time for bullying. And then when they start to grow up, they'll realize, I was like, oh shit, pardon my language, but oh shit, I just realized what I've done after all this time. And they might become honorary people in the end. Who knows?
Do
But
you
this is
think?
all of a who knows kind of thing. But like I said, it's a double edged sword for me. In the back of my mind, saying, yes, expel these guys. But in the other hand, if you expel them now, they don't have a future. And
This,
there is still time to change their course.
interesting. So you're saying it's better to rehabilitate them than to expel them.
Yes, I think so. I think so. Yes. Well, unfortunately, it's the rehabilitation is not going to bring this kid back. But if rehabilitation helps, then these people might become upstanding citizens. I know it's going to be small comfort to the mother, but you know, it's worth a try. These guys are kids right now, and they've still got time to grow up.
I see your point. Because I'm in my own mind, I would have said, just expel them, move them out of school.
But it's given you an alternative line of thinking now.
Yeah, but you've given me some form of awakening, which is maybe the bullies need to be rehabilitated and taught a very valuable lesson and take them on an excursion to a place where they never want to go to see things they shouldn't see
Okay.
or should see. I don't want to say the word, I would be in the hospital. It'd be where when someone passes away, they put them in a. I think it's important to take them on that excursion to wake them up a little bit, to shake
And
them
like
up.
hospice care or something.
No, to a morgue or something
Okay, yeah.
to show them. I don't know if that's an appropriate word. I'm sorry. Um, to take them on an excursion to show them, to frighten them a little bit, to wake them up, to go, oh my God, this is what's happening because of me or because of the school, or I need to change, I need to fix things because that boy needs to go, that could have been me, or,
Yeah, absolutely.
that could be me in there. You know, I I really want to say to the mother, my sincerest and deepest condolences to you. It's gonna hurt, I know. And I just hope that, you know, I hope that, God gives you strength during this time to help you heal. And I hope the school is able to do something about this because it's just not on. Especially, there was another young girl, Charlotte, who was also 13 years of age.
I've heard about this. It ties into the story that we're mentioning.
She also took her own life because of the bullying. See, this is why it's not okay. It needs to be spoken up about. Um, my next question is, should the schools have it in their curriculum about how to stop the bullying? Um, well, yeah, should the school have it in their curriculum about bullying or how to stop the bullying?
I think all schools should have that in as a curriculum instead of all this extra crap that people are just dreaming up to throw in. I definitely would include this into a curriculum because that way it will stop. That way it could very well stop it before it starts. And I think that's probably the most important part. You need to stop this before this starts. Otherwise, we're going to end up with more. Otherwise, we're going to end up with another Charlotte issue or another kid taking his life before
Yeah.
way too young.
I agree with you. I think it's important for every school in the nation to, when they have a free time and kids are in the quadrangle, to call a quadrangle meeting or to call a class meeting and to have that curriculum with every student sitting in one class, listening to not just their teachers speak, but listening to speakers come into the school and speak about this, whether it's the police, whether it's the courts, whether it's other parents who have gone through this. I think it's important to, have a day just to educate the teachers and educate the students and give them pamphlets to read and to wake them up a little bit and to, you know, show them this needs to come to an end. This is an epidemic of sorts, but it's frightening because it's now at the alarming rate. We need to have a curriculum. We need, like maths, like history, like geography, like science, like English, we need to have a class where it's just a day all about this topic. You know,
Absolutely.
who knows? It may work wonders. Last question, here we go. What should happen now, Leon?
Well, the school that's in question that we're talking about, well, that's based on what we're talking about, has already been, quite frankly, identified by media. So they've already been named and shamed. And I'm sure that there are other schools out there who, quite frankly, be shitting their pants uh, to make sure that they better clean up their act because a lot more other schools out there could end up being tarred and feathered with the same brush legitimately because they too have got this same kind of problem and they're underprepared to do anything about it. And I think that's another thing that we need to look at. The teachers and also the school and also the principal need to uh you know get it together, so they know how to handle a situation like this because it's based on what I've been reading from that particular article and what we're talking about. This school had not been prepared uh, to handle an issue like this. And now that it's happened, it's going to wake this school up, and they've got to do something about this,
Yeah,
from the principal to the teachers to everybody. Something needs to happen about it.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's as you said, you gave me a lot to think about because for me, my bias was just expel them, move them out of move them out of school, let them learn their lesson. But if you if you just expel them, they're just gonna do worse outside on the streets. But you're right. Maybe rehabilitation is the way to go. That's a
Well,
new a
let's
new
hope
one.
so. Let's hope so. Anyway,
You give me something to really, really think about. Like I was angry until you brought it up. And now I'm like, wow, that's new. Like, yeah, yeah, that's not bad rehabilitation.
I was a bit of a hell. To be honest, at primary school, I was a bit of a hellraiser myself, but I wasn't into bullying and anything like that. I just hated the environment at one stage until the principal straightened me out. And what I was doing as a way of rehabilitation is I was cleaning up the school afterwards, and
Yeah,
I didn't mind it. It was um it it I suppose you could say in a way it smartened me up.
yeah.
So there you go. There you go. The more you
Mhm.
know.
Well, if you see something and you hear something, speak up. Don't just sit there twiddling your thumbs. Speak up. Because if you speak up, you're saving someone's life or you're saving other people's lives at school. Tell your principals, tell the teachers, let action happen.
And
Because
there is numbers that you can call, if this kind of stuff is happening, like beyond blue, that is 1300 224 636.
and
Or
Lifeline,
obvious, yeah, Lifeline 131114. That's 24 hours support. And also the kids helpline is another one you can call as well. That's 1-800-551-800. That's for children aged 5 to 25.
and also
That's
there's the chat lines as well that are open 24/7.
Yes, exactly. That's
Mental
exactly
health
right.
is very important. Let's start saving a life. Thank you, Leon, so much for joining me. Welcome back, and we will see you guys next week. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let us know what you think. And hopefully, a games quiz night is coming up around the corner next week. Something to be excited about. We look forward to having you with us. Thank you once again, and we'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you next week. Tomorrow's going to be a busy day for the both of us. Until then, stay safe, stay hydrated and warm. See you later, guys.